Yo, what's up guys? Mike Thomas, aka the Young Trishula here. I'm back once again with Twitch chat. They are here with me, and we have once again made a fantastic accomplishment in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and that accomplishment is that we have once again made it to Master 1 on a fresh account using a deck that many people did not think was actually possible to build and play on a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel account without spending money. And that deck is Mannadium. And we were able to do it. It took a few days, but this was a very impressive run for us. A few things that were special about it was that this is the highest win streak that we've had in our time doing these Master 1 runs. We started the run 40-0, which was pretty impressive. And we lost less than 10 times total between Rookie and Master 5. We had a little bit of like rough luck in Master, but overall the run was pretty smooth. So it was a really strong run. I think this deck is really powerful. But before we get into the video, I'm going to show you guys the deck list. But before we get into that, I need you guys to pause the video, do two things: go down to the comment section, type me a little comment, and remember to like and subscribe on the video, as well as also check out the description box and click the little linky down in the description and download the Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Tracker for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. It's a super useful tool. It allows you to share deck lists with your friends, import and export features, which are just, it should just be in the game already. I don't know why it's not. But it also allows you to track your stats and do better, because you're being able to track your games and see how you're doing over the course of an entire run. And recently they added new premium features to the website, allowing you to select specific ranges to see what the best decks are at every rank of the ladder. So very useful tool. Definitely go check that out. But you guys don't care about that, so let's get into the video and get into this deck list. So before we get into that, you can already see we're already at Master 1, fresh account. We cleared out the Duel Pass too. And you can see our win rate here down in the bottom left. This run went 130-41, which is just slightly worse than the Super Heavy list that we played pretty recently. But it was looking like for most of the run that this deck was going to do better than Super Heavy Samurai. And then just at the very tail end of the run, we just had some really bad luck. And, you know, we called it a night, and then we came back the next morning and we finished out the run with pretty good luck overall. So take that with a grain of salt. You know, this win rate could definitely be better. But this was the deck list that we played, and as you can see, this deck is very expensive, but this is a brand new account, and we were able to do this completely free to play on a brand new account from account creation. So if you're worried about, you know, wanting to play this deck and having to spend money, don't worry, because this deck is playable. It is very doable. And if you guys want a guide on how I make all these free-to-play accounts and how I, you know, like set up these accounts to be able to play just about anything, I can make such a guide. But you know, we do it all live on Twitch, so if you're curious, come check out the Twitch stream at Trishula TTV on Twitch, and maybe you'll catch the run. But anyway, we're just going to talk about the ratios in the way that I know how to talk about them, and maybe we'll get a sort feature one day in Master Duel, but not today. So we started off by playing the 3 Mannadium Meek. This is kind of like the soul of the deck and kind of not at the same time, but a lot of like the Mannadium like engine revolves around popping the Meek and then summoning more Meeks and changing their levels, which is really strong. So 3 of this card for sure. We don't play any of the other balls. Some people are tempted to play the other Mannadium balls. I don't remember what they're called. I think it's Torrid and Fearless. Don't play these cards. These cards are not good. Please do not play these cards. But we do play 3 Meek, because Meek is the good one. We also play then 3 copies of Mannadium Reamheart. Reamheart is the it's the heart of this deck. You know, all of the Visa's monsters have a heart. So this is the Mannadium one. This card's pretty cool. During the main phase, if it's in your hand, you can quick effect pop a Mannadium you control or a monster with 1521, which is just the Visa's Starfrost heart stat line. So all of them have that stat line. Destroy it, and if you do, special this out, and then if it's normal or special summoned, you can search for a Mannadium card. So this is the Stratos for Mannadiums, but what's cool about it is that because it can pop any of the hearts, like any of the Visa Starfrost type cards, or a Mannadium card, you can either use this to pop the Meek on your field and start the Meek engine going that way, or you can normal summon Scareclaw Rykart and pop this. So a very common play in this deck is to start by normal summoning Rykart using the effect to search. And then your opponent, because you're playing best of one, they don't know what you're playing. They might think you're playing Scareclaw. They might like Imperm this or Valor this, whatever. And then you can chain the Riem Heart in your hand, popping this, getting your search to go through, and then you trigger your Riem Heart on the next chain. And then you can search your Meek, summon the Meek out, and then you're just playing from there, and everything's great. So we play 3 of this because it's a good starter. Also, this card, secretly, I think Rykart is actually one of the better cards in this deck. Like, this is a Mannadium deck, but Mannadium is like secretly a Scareclaw deck, because if you don't know, one of the biggest places to hit this deck is actually on the Rykephobia. If you can stop their Rykephobia from resolving, a lot of the times the deck gets a lot worse. So this is like secretly your real starter, and this just searches for a Scareclaw spell trap, but if there's 3 or more defense position monsters on the field when you summon it, or when you use this effect, you get to draw a card. So this card's like Engage for this deck, which is really, really cool. And you can set that up pretty often, which is really nice. So going for that, like the target that you're searching is Scareclaw Arrival, which is a monster reborn, which is not once per turn. I thought that this card was a hard once per turn when I started playing this deck. It is not. This card is very good. So very, very good search target here. And then for the Visas, we played 2 Visa Starfrost. And Visa is just Visa Starfrost. You know, we have the funny memes. But this card, we all know what it does. It pops a card you control with a different type and attribute than it, destroy it, summon itself out, and that's really all it does. But what's good about Visas is that it can go into the Scareclaw Lightheart itself. So this card kind of lets you do a lot of stuff, which is really, really cool for the deck. The other thing about Visas that you should probably know, and I want to make a mention of, is that you can't Visa Starfrost pop Riem Heart, and that is an easy place to mess up. So our first loss in this run was to Dark Magician beating me to death with a Dark Magician Girl, because I got impermed on Riem Heart, and then I had the Visa Starfrost in my hand, but I couldn't summon it out because it's a light warrior. And then I just did not draw, you know, any playable cards until I got beat to death by a Dark Magician, which was very, very sad. So be very careful of that. So something that you can do if you're afraid of Imperm is if you start with like Calarium or something, which is the field spell, which I'll talk about in a second, maybe search your Meek first instead of the Riem Heart. So that's something that you can look out for in this deck. Then for the last engine pieces, the last engine monsters, we played the 1 Fenrir and the 1 Scarecash. This engine is really, really cool in this deck. A lot of people ask me, like, is this stuff, like, do you have to play this? I would say so. I think that these cards are really, really, really strong. Theoretically, you could cut them, but they're really, really good because you can use both Race Off and Fenrir to bluff like you're playing Cash Tira, and that will lead to people playing incorrectly against you. Like, they'll interact with stuff that they shouldn't interact with, but they don't know that. The other thing that makes this stuff good, other than just baiting people and giving you, you know, spot removal with Fenrir, it lets you get into your Scareclaw Cash Tira. This card's really good because this card outs a lot of problematic monsters. But also, this card is a soft starter for the deck, actually. And it's kind of in a weird way. If you open Fenrir plus either Visa Starfrost or the Abscission, you're able to go not Visa Starfrost. You're able to go Fenrir, search the Scarecash, and then use the Visas or the Abscission to get rid of the Fenrir from your field, and then you can summon out the Scarecash, and then Scarecash can go into the Lightheart, and that lets you kind of start playing the game. So this card's actually secretly a starter, and I don't think people always recognize that, but this card's very, very good. Very good at going second. Also a way to start your combos. Very cool card. As for the spell cards now, I'll talk about the defensive cards later. I know that there's monsters that we haven't talked about. We played the 1 Rhoda to search either of our 2 normal summons. We played one copy, or I'll talk about this towards the end. We played 2 copies of Obsidian. Obsidian is the kind of cool Mannadium terraforming. You pop a monster you control to add Calarium to your hand, and then when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to summon any 15/21 out of your hand or Visa Starfrost, which is low-key pretty good. So it's just kind of a way to like indirectly search Visa Starfrost. But it also triggers your Meek, so it's a good card to have in combination. It can pop the Fenrir like we were just talking about. So this card's like low-key kind of good. This card's like more useful than you might think. We did something cool at one point where we were playing against Gold Pride, and they had the Rollerballer on the field, and I knew that, you know, our hand just lost if they took our first monster, you know, with the Rollerballer into the fusion. So I actually ended up setting Meek face down because the fusion has to target face up, and then I Obsidian popped the Meek, and was able actually to play through the board that way because they couldn't stop us before we started to play the game. So this card's actually pretty cool. Then for the field spells, this deck plays like all the planets. So obviously Mannadium's field spell, we've mentioned it a few times, is Calarium. I only played 2 Calarium. That's a little bit of a budget choice, but it's also kind of not, because you see that we still have 20 UR dust, and if I go to dismantle selecteds, I have a Zeus that I could have dismantled on this account, and you know, just we could have crafted the 3rd Calarium, but with this deck list, I just didn't feel like it was worth it. I didn't really feel like I missed the 3rd, so I think 2 is fine. But Calarium is just a Rota for Mannadium cards. It searches for any Mannadium monster or a Visa Starfrost. But you have to be a little bit careful with Calarium, because Calarium says that all light monsters you control gain 100 attack for every tuner you control and in your graveyard. And the reason why that is scary is that Meek can only special summon itself if you have a 15/21 on your field, right? Or if you have Visa Starfrost. And so where that comes up sometimes is, you know, you don't really think about it at first, but like I've seen people, like, I'll go like Calarium effect to search Heart, and people will max see me. And, you know, absent-mindedly, I might just ash that, you know, just ash the max C. And then, you know, just I go, okay, Heart, normal summon, search Meek. And then Heart has 1600 attack, and you can't summon the Meek out of your hand. So be careful with this. We definitely lost a few games to me just like making a little oopsie poopsie and not managing the fact that Calarium boosts your monsters. So be very careful with that. But what's cool about Calarium is that it synergizes well with like the theme of like popping your own dudes, because if a tuner monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can monster reborn that card, and that does work in the damage step too. So we had a few games where like we were just in a weird grind state. I summoned, like, I think I was under a summon limit at one point. I summoned like a Visa Starfrost, passed. They attacked over it, and then Calarium just brought it back to the field, so I was able to then make a Baron on the next turn and get rid of the summon limit. So Calarium, pretty cool card, but that works with the Meek. So that's something that you're going to be doing a lot, is, you know, popping your Meek, declaring the Meek in the graveyard, and then chain blocking for it with Calarium to get 2 Meeks onto the field and protect your Meek from getting ashed. So very good card. Race Off, obviously this one searches Fenrir. You have to be careful with this one as well because it boosts all your guys. Perlarino, this one's weird. So if you're wondering why we're playing Perlarino, Perlarino is, I think, low-key mandatory in this deck. This just searches Visa Starfrost, and you might be wondering why we don't play 3 Visa Starfrost. And at one point we were playing 3 Visa Starfrost until I realized that if you just start with Heart and nothing else, you actually don't get to full combo, because this card right here, Amritara, cannot search Visa Starfrost directly. Has to search one of the field spells. But if you start with Calarium, right, to get your Heart, if you've already used Calarium to search the Visa Starfrost, then you can't actually, or if you use Calarium to search the Heart, excuse me, then you can't actually get to the Visa Starfrost and still full combo. So being able to search Perlarino to get you into the Visa Starfrost lets you actually play the game. So that's why this is in here. And then we play the 2 Reichphobia. We play 2 because Searching this is not a hard once per turn with the light heart, so this is your follow-up. The second one's the follow-up. The first one is the one that you're searching just as part of your combo. And then for the defensive cards, it's pretty standard. We're on a Droll meta, so we're playing Droll for super heavies. We play Max C because obviously 3 Ash because it counters Max C. And then we play the call buys and the cross out as well for the Max C package, pretty standard. I played the 1 Nib just to draw off of the Max C, as well as being a cross-out target, because Nib can sometimes be a problem for this deck. And then I played in my 2 defensive slots that aren't kind of being forced are the 2 triple tactics talents, just because, like, if I'm getting Maxied, if I'm getting Drolled, whatever, I just want to tactics, look at your hand, and, tell you can't play the game. And we won quite a few games off of doing that during this run, because something that you can do is just... oh, that actually reminds me, I didn't talk about this. So good timing. You can kind of like search your imaginings and like fix your hand as well as ripping their hand without playing into a Max C. So what imaginings is this is a destiny draw for this deck. Basically, you reveal a Mannadium or a Visa Starfrost, you draw 2, and then you shuffle a card from your hand back into the deck. Or I guess it puts that on the bottom. The graveyard effect we never use, so don't worry about that. But basically what this card does is it like fixes hands where you draw like double Meek. It fixes hands where you draw double Visa Starfrost, stuff like that, as well as helping you find like stuff like called by, cross out tactics. And also people will think that like if you start with this card that you bricked, so like you can kind of convince people to ash you in the wrong place too, which is kind of fun. But this is definitely a really good card, so definitely play this. One other note is that we did not play reframing. I'm sure somebody at this point in the video has already made a comment about it. We don't play reframing because there's just not really a need to. We're playing a best of 1 format, so respecting something like Dark Ruler isn't super necessary, but it's also just a brick. Like, you don't want to draw that card. And every card in this deck is just good. Like there's very few cards in this deck that I just don't want to draw, and I didn't really feel like putting a card in my deck that I didn't want to draw. So yeah, no reframing. It's not that good. We don't need it. For the extra deck, we play 2 Vicious Astrolabe. This is one of the new fusion cards. It's kind of a cool card because you can summon it from your extra deck by banishing the materials either from your field or the graveyard. So you can just spawn this from your extra deck for free, and that's kind of what makes this deck work. It can also pop a dude on the field and gain its attack, so it's a good going second card. Then we play Mannadium Trisukta, which is one of the new cards that Mannadium got. So if you're wondering why I haven't played this deck before, now it didn't really have any 1-card combos before, but now because of Trisukta and the other synchro monster that they got, Visa's Amritara, this kind of package lets this deck play with 1-card combos. So Trisukta, it's just a level 6 tuner that summons back a level 2 tuner from the grave. So it's kind of like Excel, but on a level 6 body. And that's really all it does. But the reason that this is good is that you can summon Visa's Amatara because it allows you to use multiple tuners for its summon. So you can use the Armatara and the Meek in order to go into this. So this card is really, really good for that reason. Yeah, like this card is just really, really solid for that specific purpose, and it lets you go for a 1-card combo with just the Ream Heart and like get the deck started. So it's very, very good. Then we play the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This card is super important right now because we do not have the Crimson Dragon yet. Like, that card's not in Master Duel yet. So this is the only way that you can get into Bestial Dispatter, which is how you kind of make your proper end board with this deck. So something that you need to be very careful of is not using Excel Synchro Stardust as a way to like make a Baron before like your 5th summon or something, because if you do that, you're probably going to cheat yourself out of actually being able to play the game. So be very, very careful about doing that to yourself. I think we talked about this guy, but Visa's, he's able to just search for a spell trap that mentions Visa Starfrost, which is basically the whole deck. Like all of the field spells, it searches for Obsidian, Imaginings, it searches for Arrival. So he's really, really good. but he also counts his visas on the field, which is important because it allows you to search for, you know, the Perla Rhino, which gets you the visas, and the Reichphobia, which gets you into the Reich Heart. So he kind of gets you 2 searches, which is really, really, really strong. And it kind of lets you just play the game completely. Then for the generic synchro 10s, we played Baron, Chen Ying, and Dispatter. So Baron and Dispatter are the 2 that you're trying to end on. Chen Ying helps you go second. Chen Ying is really good in this deck because of Vicious Astrolaud. So when you're going second, it's really easy to just OTK people by summoning a Chen Ying, and then you just summon a Vicious Astrolaud from your graveyard, and, you know, you pop a card with Vicious Astrolaud, and then you banish 2 cards with Chen Ying, and, you know, these are huge stat sticks too. So it's just very, very strong. This is just a very strong pairing of monsters. So yeah, no Chaos Angel in the deck. I see a lot of people asking about 2 cards like Chaos Angel and Sprite Elf. I don't think those cards are necessary at all. I don't really think they do anything for you. Chaos Angel, I'm not the biggest fan of in general. And I think it just promotes bad play. I think you're just going to end up, you know, not playing as optimally as you should be if you play cards like Chaos Angel a lot of the time. Because something I see people try to do all the time is they just end on the Chaos Angel to try and protect their board. You don't need to do that. Your board is good enough by itself. Like you don't need to protect it. It's fine. Please do not summon Chaos Angel on your first turn. And then for the Link monsters, we have the 2 Light Hearts. You know, these cards are the Field Spell Rhoda. This is your Striker Dragon. It's your Balinx. It's, you know, whatever it is. But what's cool about it is it can summon itself back from the graveyard if you have the Visa Starfrost on the field, so that's very good. But it can also be used as its own link material, so you can link into yourself using this card, which means that you can, if you pop this card in your extra monster zone, you can summon it back and then summon another Lightheart to search the other Reichphobia so that you have follow-up. So very good card. Then we play Cross Sheep. This card's really cool because of Vicious Astrolaud in the deck. So you can just make this as a link too, and then you can just summon the Vicious Astrolaud out of the Abyss. You just spawn it from your extra deck, and then Cross Sheep just says Monster Reborn. Yeah, so it's pretty good, and that just like makes you a free Apollo. So anytime you can make a link to and then summon Vicious Astrolaud, you just get an Apollo for free, which is really strong. But it also, you know, because we have the Meeks, it can get back your Meeks and get you into a Synchro 10 if you want. So this card's really, really strong. I played in the extra deck, I played 1 Dark Charmer. My list was largely based off the list that the world champion man Quantal Think sent me. And he and his extra deck played the same extra deck, except he played an Azalea instead of the Dark Charmer. Because we were on a little bit of a budget, I played Dark Charmer because I know that in the TCG, this card has seen play quite a bit in Mannadium. And it was pretty good for us, actually. You know, it doesn't really have any search targets, so we didn't crash it into anything. But we did this against like Vanquish Soul players a few times, just like stealing stuff out of their grave and then just going into stuff like Unicorn. And then we played the Apollo for the end board, and then we played Unicorn Access Code. These cards were super, super good for us in just breaking boards and going for easy OTKs, because this deck can generate a lot of link material, but it doesn't always have a place to send that link material. So having these cards to just find easy lethals was very, very nice. Unicorn's also really nice because the Lightheart is a Unicorn Arrow, so you can just put this on your field and then summon a Unicorn and just draw cards. Very, very solid. Overall, this deck was super, super good. I don't really have anything else for you guys. That's just kind of the deck list. I think we spent a lot of time going through it. I think this was pretty in-depth. But yeah, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Give this deck a try. Don't tell yourself that you can't play this deck because it's expensive, because you definitely can. It's just, you know, something that you have to maybe, you know, just try it out. Like I think it's worth trying out. I enjoyed it a lot. And if you're looking for a combo deck that is not named Superheavy Samurai, this is definitely where you should be looking. So that's all I have for you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.